not only is he going against what his father wants, he's going against what his culture expects. Not only his culture, but every culture in the world demands that the son, the oldest son of the king, becomes the king. That's just the way it has always worked in history. So he's stepping in against history and against his own culture and all culture. He's also stepping up against all the wishes of his military, all of his men. They all look to him as the leader. So he's saying no to power, he's saying no to his family, he's saying no to his country, he's saying no to his culture, he's saying no to his pride, he's saying yes to humility, all for what? And there's no substitute for it. It's this word called love. Only love does that. Only love, and what I mean by love is the love of God, not human love, says, boom, you're more important. And boom, right there we see Jonathan making a covenant with David. Now this, I think, is extraordinary because we don't hear about this at all, ever, in modern friendships. A covenant. No, that's for marriage. Or that's for, I don't know what else we might make a covenant if you're becoming president of the United States or something. But it's too strong a language for us. We don't like this, they made a covenant with one another, because it almost sounds like marriage, because that's the word that's used for marriage. So this friendship is so deep that they actually say, we are going to be committed to one another's success and to each other. And that means for the highest good in the other person. And Jonathan right then and there makes that covenant with him. And it's actually a beautiful thing. And I think that the whole friendship really was based on this, because later Jonathan will be tempted in every way and have every reason to side with his dad and with his family and everybody. And he doesn't do it. And I think that's what's so amazing. So anyway, they start from there, this incredible friendship. It's crossing all boundaries. It's reaching down, meaning socially down, culturally down, as far as the kingdom is concerned, way down to a shepherd, and elevating him to the highest and saying, I'm going to get you there. It's just extraordinary. So what he ends up doing for David is fabulous. So David's life is in Jonathan's hands completely from this point on, because we know Saul's trying to kill him. And all it would take is Jonathan to agree with his dad, which sons culturally should do. So we know the other thing that really strikes me in this friendship is the rock at Ebal. I think that's how you say it. You have to go back and check the Bible. I don't have my Bible here in front of me, but the great stone. And that's when Saul had just thrown a spear at David, and David goes running away and finds Jonathan and says, your dad's trying to kill me. And Jonathan goes, no, he's not. He would share everything with me. Okay, now, that's weird. Okay, obviously Jonathan didn't know that this had happened, and his dad was deceiving him, saying, I would never do such a thing. But David, right then and there, double checks. It's like, why is he saying he's not when I know he is? It's not like a question in David's mind. Is Saul trying to kill me? No, he knows he is. But he goes along with Jonathan, and Jonathan goes, no, I would know all these things. He goes, no. And so then he starts this thing. Well, hey, go down by this stone. You know the story. Go down by the stone, wait there. I'll go into dinner, and when my dad asks about you, I'll say you're in such and such a place. And if he gets mad, then I know that you know the story. So he sends David down. David's there for a couple of days while Jonathan is seeking out his dad's heart. And I love this story because it used to be, to me, when it was told in Sunday school, it was, let's find out the heart of the king. And you don't have to find out the heart of a king who just threw a spear right over your head and almost pinned you to the wall. David did not have to go along with this. In fact, if anything, he's thinking, is Jonathan luring me into the death nest? I mean, that's there in his mind, because he even says to Jonathan, hey, let's not go through with this. Just kill me now. Just kill me now. Get it over with. David knew his life was in the hands 100% of Jonathan. If Jonathan sides against him, he's a dead man. And so this whole test, David agrees to go along with it. Why? Because he already knows Saul's trying to kill him. He agrees to go along because he has to see, is Jonathan on my side? Because if Jonathan's not on my side, I'm dead. And I need to know that he's on my side. And so he goes along with this thing. He goes down by the rock. He hides out there for a couple of nights. So the first night it doesn't happen, another night. And to me, the sign is if Jonathan, once I find out, I'll come. And if my dad is for you, I'll say the arrow is before you. That means come back, everything's fine. If I say it's beyond you, is it not beyond you? Then it's not okay. You need to get out of here. And so we know, David already knew the answer. It's not okay. But he's waiting to see if Jonathan tries to lure him back in. And then he knows Jonathan's not safe. Then he's running from both Saul and Jonathan, and it's over. So this story of him waiting down there, are they going to, Jonathan knows where he is. There could be a surprise attack. Remember, David's there, sitting there in his mind playing this game. Boy, Jonathan's giving up the kingdom. He's actually forsaking his father's fellowship. He's going against everything he's been told since he was a child, that you will be king. He's going against everything he's dreamed of. He's going against that which he's suited for. He's going against that which the military wants him to be. He's going against all these things. And as David's sitting there, could he possibly give up all of that for me? And the answer is no, that's not possible. And I think David knew it. And he was sitting there in incredible fear, knowing that Judgment Day was right around the corner and that he was going to be judged and he was going to be gone. I honestly believe that. Because when you see, first of all, Jonathan stand up to his dad, and say, why are you trying to hurt his dad? Again, you see the forsaking, going against his dad. His dad calls him, you son of a, for lack of better terms, the Bible says, ill, perverse woman. So I don't even know who your mother, I'm not your dad. I know who your mother is, but I'm not your dad, is what he was saying, because you're not even acting like me. So it's really a disowning. It's the worst thing you could say to your son. And it's said because of Jonathan's stance. Anyway, David didn't get to see that. He's just out there by the rock, waiting for his death penalty, most likely. And Jonathan shows up. And you can imagine David's feelings. Would he possibly side with me against all these other things? No, it's not possible. It's not, nobody could be that true. No friendship could be that pure, that loving to stand against all of those things. Of course, we know the archer boy shoots and it lands, and the famous words, is not the arrow beyond you? Hurry now and don't be slow. And David just lost it. And we see them, he sends the arrow guy home, the little boy home, and they meet out in the field and they hug each other because they know this is it. And they know he needs to run. And they hug and they embrace. And it says there they wept. And it's beautiful because it says, and David wept the more. In other words, he was absolutely floored by this man, this incredible man. No man like him in the kingdom ever. And even in the history of Israel, there's just no warrior king like him. That type of warrior, and that type of caliber, and that type of, by the way, I think that's something that the house of David really missed. They don't show what a stud that Jonathan was. I think they show him to be a little bit weak, and there's nobody that could stand against him. He could just take out anybody in warfare, even the leaders. There's one time he's wrestling with somebody, he appears a little bit wimpy. They blew it there. The guy is the man. And here he sides with David. And David wept the more. Then they separated, and we don't really see that much of a relationship, except that we see Jonathan breaking through the ranks, probably at great risk to himself, because David's men were on the alert. They're going to be watching from anybody from Saul, especially the king's son. And there they meet. Jonathan breaks through to spend time with David, and it says he encouraged David's heart in God, which is cool. I mean, it's the coolest thing of all. It shows where Jonathan's heart was this whole time. God first. And then therefore we're capable of loving people like we need to love people, being the friend that we need to love. It's just not possible to have the kind of friendship we're supposed to without God being first. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And what comes next? Love your neighbor. Love your friend as your own soul. And so we see him, and I envision these guys out by the campfire, swapping stories. There were times when they were in battle together before, because the battle was just constantly, warfare was constant. These guys were forged in the fire together. We don't have all those stories, but I'm sure it was true because he was serving under Saul for quite some time, along with Jonathan. And here he encourages his heart in God. And then he says to him, hey, my dad knows this. I know this. You are going to be king, and I am going to be there beside you. And those are the last words. Those are the ones that ring out in David's ears. Those are the ones that he will always remember. And the next bit of word that he gets about Jonathan, at least we see in Scripture, is Jonathan's been slain on the slopes of Mount Gilboa. And when you read that at the beginning of 2 Samuel, when you read that story, when you read the poem that he wrote, I mean, that's one of the things I memorized when I did this skit. There's such a double entendre there. It's talking about Saul and trying to honor Saul, but there's double meaning. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Double meaning. And weep for Saul. Double meaning. Because Saul fell before he fell. And then he comes to the place, oh, Jonathan. There is such a grief that David felt at the loss of Jonathan. Such a loss that we can't even really imagine it. And I remember Stu saying, if Jonathan had still been there, there wouldn't have been a Bathsheba. And I believe that's true. I think Jonathan was all the weaker because of that. I don't think he ever fully recovered from that, honestly. But I do know that he modeled Jonathan in many, many ways. He was the man, David was the man with the mighty men that he empowered in all of their exploits and battles. Even when they surpassed David's, they were splattered all over the headlines and put in the scriptures. Unlike Saul, one mighty man, and he goes and tries to kill him because of jealousy. So we see that whole nature of Jonathan really adopted and brought into who David was, a man after God's own heart, in a friendship that is just unlike any other. A man, Jonathan, who made David what he was. So those are my thoughts. I hope they're helpful. Praying for you. Miss you a ton. And again, you'll have to sit down with M. Dudley and talk to him about what's happening at the church. So I love that man. It's amazing how God used him at the Dunes and just how God's using him in life. And I know they actually would love to move out to Sisters, by the way, because they're going to put their daughter in the school system out there in Sisters. So anyway, thought you should know that. Love you, brother, and look forward to talking to you more. Bye-bye.